Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Tampa. Now, it's checkout day and that means it's time to do a room review. So let's talk a little bit about the room, let's talk a little bit about this hotel and casino, and a little bit about the surrounding area. So the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Tampa is located about an hour away from the Orlando area, depending on traffic. And while that can be a bit of a drive, depending on your style, it's also not that far away. So it does make it a great day trip if you're thinking about coming out here and doing something a little bit different, expanding your Orlando / Universal Disney vacation out a little bit. Now, this hotel and casino is really close to Tampa, which means there's a lot you can enjoy right here if you're looking to explore Tampa. There's also some other little cities, towns that are nearby that are really interesting as well. We did check one out. We're gonna be coming back and exploring it a little bit further though, because there's a lot of history there, and that's really interesting, at least for us. But if you're looking at doing something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more exciting, we are also only about 40 minutes to an hour with traffic, again, away from St. Petersburg, and that's where you're gonna find things like Tropicana Field, for example. So while this might not necessarily be the most ideal location to stay if you're wanting to explore St. Petersburg, you can do that. So if this is a place that you're set on, it's not too far away, you can easily make that happen. But okay, let's get to this hotel and casino, and then of course we'll wrap up talking a little bit about the room. So this is, like I said, a hotel and casino, and just the nature of this place is not gonna be for everyone, especially if you don't wanna be wandering through a casino in order to get to your hotel room, because you will have to do that here. This is also a pet-friendly hotel, but I have some mixed feelings on that. In fact, I have quite a few things I want to say, so I think we're going to talk about that in a separate video, so make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss that, because I do know that there are a lot of you out there who are planning on traveling with your pet. We did actually bring Bandit with us this trip, and so it was a very interesting experience. There's a lot to say, there's a lot that I think you need to know, and I don't want you to miss that if you're thinking about coming here with a pet. Now, as far as the immediate vicinity of this hotel and casino though, there is also a lot going on right here. Right across the way, we have the state fairgrounds. There are concerts that happen over there all the time. There's a lot of expos and stuff coming up. We can actually see the sign right from our hotel room window. So I can see there's like a women's expo coming up and a trading card game expo coming up. There was a concert last night. So there's a lot going on over there. And there's also a lot going on over here in the hotel and casino as well. They have a lot of people coming through, lots of performances and whatnot. So this is another great option if you want to do some of that, which is in this immediate area. But let's talk a little bit about the hotel and casino now, because I know that we've talked a little bit about the surrounding area. Let's get into why you're here. Here we do have the casino. There are a number of self-parking options, parking garages here so that you can park your car. You won't have to worry about parking. There's plenty of space. That parking is also free, and valet is available if that's something that you're interested in. Then there is the casino. There are some smoking areas as well as non-smoking areas in this casino, but I do think if you're going to be wandering throughout, especially if you're going to be staying at the hotel itself, you need to prepare yourself to be able to wander through an area where people are smoking heavily, because the hotel access is going to be through a part of the casino that is not a smoke-free section of the casino. Then of course we have the hotel itself. There are two separate towers to this hotel. They're only going to be accessible if you are staying here. So you're going to have to present your key card and security will boop you in, and then you can go in that way. There are 3 pools all on the same level. It's going to be on the 2nd level. There's a spa, and then of course there are all of the dining options that are available here at the casino. Of course, those will be in the casino itself. That will include table service as well as counter service options. There's some cafes, some quick bites. They do have a boozy ice cream shop. So there are a lot of different options to choose from. Of course, if you're thinking about dining at some of these dining establishments, there is going to be a dress code. So it's important to check that out ahead of time before you make your way here. There are shops as well though, including some where you might be able to get what you need if you're missing a piece or two in order to eat at one of those places. Now, as far as the casino itself, this is a really interesting place to wander around, whether or not you're willing to play, because not only do you have a ton of different games to choose from in smoking and non-smoking areas. There are machines, there are table games. You also have a lot to look at in terms of displays because this is, of course, a Hard Rock. Now, if you're not familiar with Hard Rocks, places like Planet Hollywood, they do have displays of different music, memorabilia, costumes, outfits, and whatnot from some of your favorite artists, and this Hard Rock is no exception. They have some amazing displays. Some of them rotate out, so it is kind of a museum, especially if you enjoy rock and roll music, or honestly music from any genre. They have different artwork and costumes and pictures. It's really great, and even if you're not planning on gambling, I do recommend that you wander around the casino and you keep your eyes open for all the great artwork. We did show you some of this in a previous video, so I will link that so you can check it out. It's a really cool place to be, and I think that if you enjoy music, you enjoy stuff like this, you'll definitely enjoy this place, even if you're not into the casino aspect. If you are thinking about playing some slot machines or whatnot, it's important to know that it is clean. They are wiping down the machines regularly. While you will see some ashtrays and maybe some drinks that haven't been collected quite yet, kind of scattered here and there, it doesn't feel grimy, it doesn't feel filthy. You know, they're cleaning up as quickly as they can. There are a lot of people moving through here. So know that going in, but also know that this isn't going to be one of those places where it feels grimy and nasty. Also, in terms of smoking, like I mentioned, people can smoke in a large section of this casino, but I do think it's worth noting that they have fantastic ventilation in here, so while you will smell it, you don't really feel the nastiness, you know? So your clothes might smell a little bit like smoke, your hair might smell a little bit like smoke at the end of the night, especially if you're spending a lot of time in that smoking section of the casino, but you don't feel it in your throat. And I think that that's worth mentioning. In terms of the rooms themselves, let's talk a little bit about this room that we're in. So this is a Deluxe King room, and it is massive. Like, it's really big. I don't know the square footage on this room, but it does have a huge space for the king size bed. There's a couch like what I'm sitting on right now. There's a little coffee bar area, big closet. The bathroom is massive, and the entryway is huge. So you won't be short on space if you're staying in this room. Also, there are different styles of rooms that come with multiple beds. So whatever you're looking for, you can find. There are also rooms with balconies. We don't have one, but we do have these floor to ceiling windows that go along the entire wall of our room, and it is just fantastic. It's great to look out and just, I don't know, see basically everything that's happening here. We were able to see the concert last night. Of course, we do have a shot of the parking garage as well as the traffic, so it's not like this is the most fantastic view you've ever seen, but it still was nice, and I thought that it was a nice touch. You don't usually have such wide open windows in hotel rooms, and so I really enjoyed that. The theming in this room is also fantastic. There's a lot of attention to detail, like on the bedding. There are guitars on the pillows, there are guitars on the duvet, and it really does feel like a rock star room. I know that that's kind of like what they're going for here with the theme, this being hard rock, but the wallpaper is beautiful. Everything feels big. It definitely seems like they put a lot of attention into making this room feel like something special, and it does. It does, in fact, feel special. And I say that not only for the bed area, but all the way throughout this room. There's also a lot of mood lighting in this room. So if you want to have things a little bit darker, a little bit dimmer, you want to set the mood, you can definitely do that here as well, which I think is fantastic. Although the downside to that, at least in my opinion, is that there are so many switches that do so many different things, it can be hard to figure it out. So that's just something to take note of. So those are some of the things we really liked about the room. We also found this room to be rather quiet. So this room is room 20749. So we're kind of on the end. We do have a stairwell up against one side of our room, so we only share one wall with other people. But even so, it was rather quiet in here. I didn't run into any issues. There was one instance where someone had clearly won quite a bit in the hallway last night, so we heard them kind of celebrating on their way back to the room. But we are very far removed from the casino itself. in these rooms. And so even though it's really loud in the casino, lots of great music, which I didn't mention before, but lots of great music playing. You don't hear any of that here. You don't hear any of the anything. It's very quiet and peaceful in these rooms, and I like that. In fact, the music doesn't start playing until the elevator. So you get in the elevator and that sets the mood. And that's kind of cool, you know? I know we've talked about elevator music being awesome in the past over at the Swan. It's like, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Tell me in the comments down below. But the music does start playing when you get in the elevator, and then you're in the casino environment after that. Now that we've talked about kind of all the things that we liked about this hotel, let's talk about some of the downsides. So first and foremost, we do have the bed. The bed was very hard. It wasn't the most comfortable bed that we've ever stayed on. While it worked just fine for us, I know that it's not going to be right for everybody. And honestly, I feel like it was a little bit deceiving because the bedding is so plush. Everything looks so plush. So when you got in the bed, it kind of, you thought it was going to be plush as well, and it wasn't. So that was definitely a downside. The air conditioning was great. It kept the room nice and cool, sometimes a little bit too cool. The bedding though, also, while it was very plush, was a little bit warm. And I do feel like, I know that this is a really specific complaint, but it's a duvet and a sheet. There was no blanket. So you either had nothing with the sheet, so very light coverage, or it was really hot with the duvet. So there was like no in between, and you really had to get the air conditioning settings right in order to have a comfortable night's sleep, which isn't a big deal, but it is worth mentioning, at least in my opinion. Beyond that, we really don't have any complaints about the room itself. The room was fantastic. I know that these rooms can be a bit on the pricey side, but quite frankly, I think that they're worth it. There's plenty of space, plenty of places to tuck things away. It feels good in here. It feels like a vacation just in this room, and I really like that. We also thought that the bathroom was a big standout for this room. It is huge in there. Not only do you have the double sinks and all the lighting and the mood lighting as well, but you have this massive walk-in shower with a bench. You also have a separate bathroom. So even though it can be closed off, like the whole bathroom area can be closed off separately. Again, we did a room tour, so you can go check that out if you want to see exactly what we're talking about. You can absolutely be in the bathroom and in the shower without feeling like you're right on top of everyone, which isn't something that you normally get in a hotel room. So I thought that that was fantastic. But with all that being said about the room, I do want to circle back to the hotel and casino itself, because I do have some downsides to mention in terms of that. So first and foremost, we have our first impressions, which was at check-in. Now we tried to check in a little bit early. It was totally fine that we couldn't check in early because the room wasn't ready yet. That happens. It's to be expected. I do think that if you have the ability to try and check in early, you can always do that, but there's no guarantees, you know, so you have to keep that in mind. However, the room was not ready by check-in time. And this wasn't just true for us, but it was true for a number of people who were also trying to check in and had been trying to check in as well. Unfortunately, we felt that the front desk staff wasn't really helpful in making sure that this got squared away. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know exactly where the disconnect was, but I do think that it's worth mentioning that you're not necessarily going to be guaranteed getting into your room at check-in time at this hotel, which is true for any hotel, and I do think that that's worth mentioning. Unfortunately, even though we did check in early and let them know that we were there, that didn't play a role in impacting our ability to get into the room sooner. So it's worth mentioning that, especially if you're coming out this way in order to go do something fun. There's a lot to do. Like I mentioned, if you're going to be buying tickets, I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying tickets for a baseball game or a concert on the day of check-in, because there's just no guarantee that you're going to get into your room before or even at check-in time. And this is especially important to keep in mind if you're traveling with a pet, because we, of course, were traveling with a pet, and because we couldn't check in and get into our room at check-in time, this added an extra element of stress trying to figure out what we were going to do, because we had our pet with us and we didn't have a place for him to hang out. Speaking of not having a place for him to hang out, this hotel, while it does accommodate pets, does not have accommodations for pets. And what I mean by that is there's nowhere to take your pet to relieve themselves. There's really no good way to get your pet outside, certainly not quickly. So fortunately, we had a plan in place just in case that were to happen, but I think it's important to keep that in mind if you're thinking that you'll be able to bring your pet here and then just like take them down a back elevator or something, be right outside at a green space. That's not going to be available to you. And so again, while this is pet friendly, there's a lot you got to do to make that work. But we will talk more about that in a future discussion. So like I said, subscribe so you don't miss it. But with that, I don't really think that there's anything else that we need to add when it comes to reviewing this hotel. It was fantastic, although there were some downsides that I do think are worth taking into consideration. Of course, these won't be a problem for everyone. There are some workarounds, there are some ways to make it work, but I do think that they're worth mentioning. But you know the drill. Now that we've shared our experience, we'd love to hear yours. If you've ever stayed at this hotel, tell us about it in a comment down below. We'd love to hear your pros and cons for this Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Also, let us know if you would consider staying here in the future for one reason or another. Would you come here to experience the casino, experience a concert, head on over to the State Fair? I'm sure that they have plenty of things going on there throughout the year. We'd love to know what your thoughts are, so tell us all about them in the comments. But that's all for now. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.